Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Grandma's Corner. It's a special time out for us. There's so much we've got to learn to teach us, to put us through on this important topic is a wonderful daughter of Zion, a wonderful woman, a young woman who has been able to accomplish so much in a short space of time, and she continues to soar and climb higher. She's someone I'm very, very proud of. Her name is Aderonke, Mrs. Aderonke Olisa. Mrs. Olisa Aderonke is a public health educator, a teen mentor, a fashionpreneur. She is the CEO behind the Zoe Royal Apparel brand. She's a purpose driven woman, an author of Every Girl's Health Guide, and the founder of Ladies of Virtue and Excellence. To crown it all, she is a wife and mother. Please join me to welcome Aderonke. Aderonke, thank you so, so much for being here on the
Thank
platform.
you
I'm
so much,
honored.
Ma.
God
Thank
bless
you
you.
so much, Ma. Amen. Thank you for the invitation. It's a blessing to be here, and I'm grateful to God for the opportunity. And thank you too, Ma, for keeping the fire burning and also showing us younger ladies that there is much more to achieve, even as you are growing in years. You don't stop, you continue to fire up. Thank you so much, Ma.
To God be the glory for everything. Okay, we're going to dive right into the topic. It is all about discovering purpose,
Mm.
discovering purpose. And as I pondered on the importance of sharing with our teenagers, our youths, our young adults about it, I could think of no better young woman that I know than my Aderonke to speak on the topic. So, Aderonke, let's start off this way. Would you tell us about Aderonke?
Okay. Um, I want to first of all say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching from wherever you're watching around the world, because I know this is a global platform. And yes, Aderonke Olisa is a girl helped by God. Um, she's just a girl that found mercy and walked in that mercy, from the moment that she knew her father, who is God, until now, until forever. So yes, I wear many hats, and all to the glory of God. I didn't just become all these things overnight. It took years of preparation. It took years of working with God. It took years of understanding myself, self-awareness, self-introspection, and a whole lot for me to be able to become who I am today. So yes, mommy may have said a lot of things about I'm CEO of this, founder of that, I do this, I do that. Yes, but it didn't just start, it didn't just happen in a day. It's a reflection of a whole lot of years of you know, um, walking step by step in the will of God. Yeah. So that's what Aderoke is. I don't know how to, I don't know what to say, right?
Uh,
Thank
You
you, ma.
you have actually said a lot. Now, you mentioned that you wear many hats. And on a program I was listening to just a few moments ago, I heard a statement: you cannot feature in a future you cannot picture. You cannot feature in a future that you cannot picture. Did you picture yourself as a young girl being in this situation that you are now, having accomplished so much at a young age? I know there's still a long way to go. I know that the Lord has so much more in store for you. You continue to soar. But if we look back 10 years, do you think that you had envisioned that you would have accomplished as much as you have now?
Hmm. Quite funnily, if it's about 10 years ago, I think yes, and I even feel based on my 10-year plan 10 years ago, I would have accomplished more than this actually, because I would say that God helped me early to have that sense of purpose, that sense of I'm a girl on a mission. I knew that very early, maybe not, let me not use very, but early in life. I mean, as a teenager, I just knew that I was distinct. I knew that I was on a mission. I knew that there is something about my life that is just so different. So it put me on a very, very serious mode. And so 10 years ago, I had the journal. I started journaling like about 10 years ago, you know, and I used to have plans like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. And my 10-year plan is according to my 10-year plan, I should have been a doctor by now. I mean a PhD holder. I should have I should have done a lot of things. And sometimes I laugh at myself and say, okay, you've not done the things you put down in that diary. But again, I understand that I've grown and I understand that there are processes to life, and I'm thankful for where I am. So yeah.
Praise God, and I celebrate you. But I'll ask, for those teenagers, youths, or young adults that are watching, at what age do you think that one should actually start to purposefully attempt to discover purpose? How young, how young is it? How young is too young to begin to work to discover purpose?
Okay, well, I think that if you look back to the Bible, we know don't know the story of Samuel, but if you're a Christian, you must have heard about Samuel. And Samuel in the Bible, the Bible told us that God exposed him to his purpose very early. I mean, Bible scholars tell us it was probably even below 10 or around the age of 10 when God called him first and told him the things that he would want him to be in life. So, like I used to say, I think let me just define purpose to maybe somebody that doesn't even have any idea of what we're talking about. So, purpose is the reason for the existence of a thing. And so, when we're talking about your purpose as a human being, it is the reason why God has brought you here. We have about 2 billion people on earth, and it might look so very common to think that, oh, we are just here to fill the ecosystem. Or no, you are not just that, you are not just a person that just was just born just like that. God sat down and thought about you before he decided that you will come to earth. There are so many unborn children there in heaven, right, with God. But God thought about a problem happening in the world, and he thought about a solution, and that solution is you.
Amen.
Now, it's the way you might have been born might not even look like you matter, might not even look like there's anything special about you, and that's what a lot of young people think, that, oh, me, that my mother even said that my father said they should abort me, or me, that my mother even almost aborted me, but it didn't happen. A whole lot of situation or circumstance that might have prompted your birth, it might even be through rape or whatever it is. Trust me, you are a solution provider. There is a particular reason why God brought you here, and that is your purpose in life. Now, is it what age is it appropriate for you to discover your purpose on earth? I mean, as early as you can. And I would like to say here again that purpose is a journey. Purpose purpose is not necessarily, something that it's just like a revelation that you just have, and that's the what your life is all about, right? As you journey through life, in fact, most of the time we discover purpose in retrospection, because some bad things happen to us, some experiences in life that are not palatable, or that may even be palatable, happen to us. And at the heat of the moment, we can't figure out, why is this thing happening to me? But give it time. Time explains a lot of things. Give it time. When you look back, you will now discover the reason why you failed. You discover the reason why you had that disappointment. You discover the reason why you maybe lost your father early. You discover the reason why your parents divorced. All those things begin to make meaning to you as you progress in life. So the most important thing I tell teenagers is have a sense of purpose. So not necessarily you discovering the whole blueprint. Even adults, we don't actually know the whole blueprint, because at the end of the day, if you have the whole blueprint, then you don't need God. You don't need Him because you figured it out. But the almightiness of God, the sovereignty of God shows forth when you just move by faith, having a sense of purpose and holding on to His promise. So, as a young person, as an adolescent, as a teenager, you need to have a sense of purpose at the word go. At the word go. At the word go, you need to have a sense of purpose. Knowing that you are special, knowing that there is a purpose for your life, knowing that you are going somewhere, knowing that you should not live your life anyhow, because God has a special interest in your life. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a long answer, and you've covered many, many aspects in that response. And I want to take you back a little to something you said. You said, I knew there was something about me. I knew there was something about my life that was different. What made you know? What was your childhood like? Tell me about your childhood. Tell us about your childhood. Was it all
Okay.
cushy? Was it easy? Was it a bed of roses? A sweet journey? Tell us about it, please.
Okay. All right. So for me, I my childhood was, filled with a lot of experiences that I felt growing up were very cruel to me, because first, okay, I when my parents had me, when my mom had me, she had to go back to school. So I didn't have that benefit of being cared for by my mom. Not that she didn't want to care for me, but she had to go to school. So that's, staying with my mom, I didn't really have that, even as a baby, because she had to go back to school, and so I was taken care of by family, and by the time she eventually finished her education, and we were living together as a family, it was not up to few years down the line. Not I don't think it was up to 5 years. Excuse me, my parents um separated, and so the journey into the real life started. As I
Sorry,
think I was 8 years.
sorry, can I just interrupt for a moment? I'm sorry to interrupt, but there might be someone watching, perhaps who went through a childhood. I look at it as a trauma for parents
Yeah.
to separate. How can you remember? I mean, you were about 8. 10?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you remember what the feeling was like? Had you been a close family prior to that, or what emotional effect did it have on you?
Okay, yeah, I think for me it's really broke me because I mean, like I said, my family just started living together, but the it was just about 2 or 3 years into my parents staying together, and we were all together, and I was like, okay, we're living in a very nice apartment and all of that in an estate. So it was just into that, oh, being relaxed, that okay, a family together and all. Not that there were no challenges of its own, but it was in the middle of that it was all disrupted. And I really actually felt it was my fault because, when we had to move out, I remember it was like April 1st. Yes. And then this April Fool thing used to rain. They say April 1st, April Fool. So I thought it was April Fool, really. When my mom was like, okay, we have to leave this house now before your dad comes. And I was, I saw a truck outside and I was like, what's happening? And we had to move into a I don't even know, I don't know if it's called it a slum, or I don't even know how to put it, but it was bad because the place we had to move to was a dump site, a refuse dump site that was cleared. And so it was still like a refuse dump because you could see the old refuse everywhere. And it was a plank building, a plank, what they call it, like a bacha, just put planks together in a four corner, and that's it. So it was like falling from grace to grass, really. And for me, it was so traumatic that I started thinking it was my fault that the whole thing happened.
Why?
And of course, my mom was,
Aderonke, sorry, why did you feel it was your fault?
okay, yeah, and that, I was about to say that because I know then my mom, of course, she was distraught and everything. She actually said some things about maybe if it was not because of my pregnancy or so, maybe she would have left him, or maybe because I was already born, she couldn't leave him. So conversations around that. So I just felt that, oh, it's because of me that this man enduring all these things. Oh, so for me, I really felt, I was the cause of everything. And you know,
Aderonke,
apart
Aderonke,
from,
hi.
I've been, I've
Oh,
been, I've had to
I,
pass this,
I, I,
so
I
yeah.
really
So
feel
for me,
I imagine you at 10 and that whole weight or
yeah,
burden.
I was 8, so I was not 10. I was 8. I was around 8 years. I was in primary 4 then when it happened.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might seem as if we're digressing a little, but I just, what would you say to a young kid now to imagine yourself? What would you say to yourself now? Because, an 8-year-old feeling such a burden of perhaps being responsible for a separation, a breakup of the family unit,
Mm,
it's a very traumatic thing. It must be a heavy
very.
burden. You
It is.
say, I mean, obviously now it wasn't your fault, but
It was.
that feeling of guilt was very real to you at that time. So what
Yeah,
would
and
you
I carried it like almost all through my life. I carried that guilt like almost all through my life until I think I don't know if I finished university or after university. I don't know. I think it was after my university. I had to, call my dad because for the most part of the years, since that time to date, I've never lived in my dad's house, right? I just, in fact, for like, if not 20 years, now 15 years, let me say 15 years, I didn't even know where my dad was living. I usually, and I think those are the things that even deepen the trauma because I usually meet my dad at different bus stops, just get money to feed, to get money for school fees, to get money. Like I just meet my dad at any bus stop available. Come and meet me at this bus stop. Come and meet me at that bus stop. So I really felt like those are the things that really made me feel unwanted, rejected. Like I felt that the whole world was against me, basically. So after my university, I think that was when I had a meeting with my dad to actually know like what really happened, because I've always been hearing the story from my mom's side, and I wanted to know what really happened. And he told me his own side of the story. Then I had to put it together with my mom's side, and so I found my truth, and I forgave myself. Like, okay, you know what, you didn't do this. So I think me knowing the truth, like the Bible says, when you know the truth, you set it free. Me knowing the truth of what actually happened from both ends, really set me free. And I think that any child that really wants to come out of that trauma needs to know the truth, because you not knowing the truth keeps you in the dark, and you keep guilt tripping yourself. It this thing affect, like I said, until 2 years ago, before I really came out completely from that whole childhood thing, because what the popular saying that once you are 30, you are the background. So I knew that I had to do it for myself. I was talking 30 2 years ago. I knew I had to do it for myself because I had to set a new background. So I had to go for a session, like a kind of coaching, therapy or coaching session, to actually like purge myself of the old childhood trauma once and for all. And it really helped me. So if you're a child, an adolescent, come across this video, whatsoever happened between your parents, trust me, it's never your fault. They're adults and they made their decisions, and their decisions led to a separation or a divorce. It's not your fault. You have nothing to do with it. You need to tell yourself, and I think that's what I told myself very early, that I will not allow my mom's mistake or my dad's mistake dictate how my life is going to be. I told
Amen.
myself that quite early, and I worked on it with Jesus early to make sure that that is what it's going to be like. And to God be the glory. I mean, people don't even believe when I tell them I come from so and so background. My parents, this, they don't believe it, because I intentionally made sure that that was the narrative with the help of God. So yeah, it's not your fault. They made their own decisions, and their life turned out the way it is. And guess what? Your life doesn't have to turn out the way their life turned out to be. It doesn't have to. It's a choice. I mean, but know that it can happen that way. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. I'm happy that it has a happy ending. I wish that it hadn't taken so long before it stopped. And then you even used a word. You said, I forgave myself. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
why did you have to forgive yourself? Because you weren't even guilty in the first place. But I guess
Yeah.
it's saying you let go. You just
Yeah.
allowed the evil load, the load that
Yeah.
didn't belong, you allowed it to be removed. You made a
Mm-hmm.
conscious effort to take
Yeah.
it off. Well, thank God for that. I mean, this in itself, I think, is a message, even apart from the discovering
Mm-hmm.
purpose. So, okay, with that kind of foundation, how did you come into realizing that there was something special about you, even with that? Because some children who feel neglected or dejected or whatever, abandoned, feel like they're guilty of causing the breakup of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids would think, I'm terrible. I'm not even supposed to be alive. But in spite of everything, you realized that there was something special. You said it earlier that you knew there was something special about your life. You realized that you were different. So, in spite of all that, how did you come to this realization?
Okay, I think for me, what my one thing I knew that my mom did right, which I would forever appreciate her for, is, she didn't she left, my father's house around to Jesus' house. I think that's the best way to put it. So, going to, bringing us to the knowledge of God quite early. And I remember the day my mom told me that, see, as of today, Jesus is your father. Anything you need, go and ask him. He's not that will provide. So that automatically, and of course, I also had an experience with my dad that made me actually just abandon myself to Jesus and be like, okay, Jesus, you are my father as from today. If I need anything, I won't call my dad, I'll call you. You know. So for me, having that consciousness of God is my father made me just, and of course, I had to grow up early because my mom, after leaving my dad, she had to double her hustle to meet her needs. And so I had to be, as the firstborn, I had the responsibility of, stepping up into her shoes quite early, going to market, taking care of my siblings. They were quite young, they didn't even understand anything that was happening. So I had to step into that role as quick as possible. So I matured so fast in my thinking. I thought I used to think like an adult and I was a child. So for me, it made me think a lot. So I did a lot of introspection. When things happen, I don't think like a child and forget about it. I think deeply. So for me, everything that was happening, I used to ask God, why is this thing happening to me? And because I was a brilliant kid, I was very popular in school because, I was one of the top in my set. So, and I had a lot of emotional intelligence as a child that my report card used to say, oh, she's very focused, she's very this. But I knew that it was a lie because I was not focused at all. I was thinking a lot. But I don't know how I just separated my school life from my family life. So none of my friends knew what I was facing at home, knew that I didn't have money to eat, they didn't know. Like they thought maybe I was living a baller life, Not that I was pretending, but I just sort of shut down that part of my life and focus on academics. So I did a lot of thinking. So when things happen, my friends, they have, good things of life. I go to their houses, I see how they're living. And we were in MFM. My mom, when she left my dad, she gave her life to Christ in MFM. And so we always go to prayer city and all those prayers. And of course, I also had some spiritual afflictions. I was bedwetting. I was bedwetting till, I think this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, really. But I bedwetted till SS2.
Thank you for sharing. You know,
I actually bedwetted till I was in SS2. So imagine a brilliant girl going for competitions and everything, and we still bedwet. And I remember my sister then, of course, she was a young girl. She was always taking fun of me. In fact, if she wants to make me cry, that was, what she would say. And I was always fasting and praying. Like I started 3 days dry fasting when I was about 9 years in prayer
wow.
city because my mom was like, you must not stop disgracing me. Even in the prayer city, when we go for palm exchange hands, I will go and sleep on Friday to Saturday. I will bed wet. My mom will go and drop me at the extreme auditorium and tell me to stay there because my clothes was wet. And
Oh,
after palm exchange hands, the sun would have dried my clothes outside when I'm in the sun. My mom will come and pick me there. So I faced a lot of spiritual attacks, as the firstborn. And so I was always following my mom to different mountains to pray, and everything. I was always the arrowhead going through all those things, right? So for me,
do
okay, you want
you?
to say something?
Yes, yes. Um, okay. do you think that the prayers helped? Because you said it went on for a while. Do you think that the prayers helped?
Yes. That's why I said the product of mercy. The prayers help. So, hey, the prayers really, 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 in fact, the prayers really helps my life. That's the truth. And I think those prayers, MFM prayers, all this prayer of, oh Lord, make me your battle axe. Oh Lord, keep me away from anything. So I think those prayers, they really structured um the way my life eventually turned out. Because it was like those prayers that conditioned my life that whether you like it or not, your life will be good. Whether you like it or not, your life will be straight. I think that, and that's why I really encourage young girls to pray, because I know that, yes, I might not be a billionaire right now. Like, I don't have the cash right now, but I do have a billionaire, in the making. But I know that my life is a product of prayer. I'm very sure about it. So those prayers over time, you know, going to all those spiritual places made me understand. Hearing sermons made me understand. Then there are some experiences I was having that I'll be like, God, why is this thing happening to me? Other people wrote exam. I wrote exam. I'm brilliant. They are brilliant. Yeah, we fail. They will pass. God, what is the problem? What have I done? Did I do you bad? I talk to God though. Like, I talk to God like the way David in the Bible does. So I will call out God. Like, I will call God and I say, God, come and answer me now. What did I do that made me do I deserve this? And I did that. Even though I wasn't consciously born again. Like, okay, I did not come out of my life to Christ. But as a child, I used to have a conversation with God. If anything happened, God, why did you allow this to happen to me? And all of all those things. So it was during one of all those conversations that God told me that, you see, all this that is happening to you. The reason why I allow them to happen to you is not because you're a bad child. It's not because you are evil. It's because of the future. You will see. Just watch as you are going. There's somebody on your way in future that this same thing will happen to, and it is your experience or how you came out of it that will help the person. So
Ah,
immediately I knew that.
Aderonke, I have
Man,
goosebumps. I have goosebumps. And um, what you're saying is so powerful. It's so deep because I know the work that you're doing now. I know that
mm,
you have the ladies of virtue and excellence. I know
mm,
impact has already impacted the lives of
yes,
thousands, possibly
yes,
hundreds of thousands of
mhm,
young girls. And so I
yes,
have goosebumps because the fact that you were told at that time you had such a good relationship with God that He could almost confide in you because you called Him out to say
yeah,
that the reason why you're going through this is not because of anything
no,
you've done.
mhm, mhm,
And I know the amount of young ladies whose lives I've been part of conferences that you've hosted. You host conferences and you have thousands of girls at your conferences, and I see them breaking down, crying, coming out to confide in you, coming for
mhm,
counseling and all that. So it's such a wonderful thing. Definitely, you are fulfilling purpose. So go on to tell us
yeah,
about
yeah.
discovering and
So
how
for me,
going through now and what
okay,
anyone is going through at present is preparing them to fulfill purpose in future.
yes, yes. So for me, since that day when God told me that, I took my mindset changed, and I started taking whatever happened to me in good faith. Then I always stayed to learn. So I'm always in a learning mode. So what does God want me to learn from this situation? And so I started documenting too. So what is the process of did I come out of it? What did I do? How did God help me? So I started conscious. So it was not a conscious thing. So I don't question God when something bad is that I don't throw tantrums at God. I be like, okay. how is this going to profit? So, and the truth is that, I mean, look at, for example, the fact that I graduated to SS2. When I was in university, I had a university colleague that was graduating in university, and the shame was so much that she wanted to commit suicide. It was my testimony. It was, I was already equipped because I knew how it was. That was what I was. She was my classmate. She was my colleague, but I was mentoring her. And that was it was that my own story, because I could bear witness with her infirmity. I was not talking out of the Bible says, the Bible says. I know what it means to be bedwetting as a big person. So it was just that experience that I could relate with her, I could connect with her, I could hold her hands and walk her through that experience. And she did not commit suicide. Today, she is married. In fact, you won't even think of it. She came out of it. So many experience, even experience of failures that I will have, academic failures that I'll have, that I would like, God, why would you, of all people, Mommy Gio is the one that have E in this course that they pasted in the faculty, and it was a faculty shame. I was distraught because I was an executive in the fellowship. But God told me, I went to the altar in headquarters, MFM headquarters, so go and cry. I said, God, you must change this thing. God said, no, I won't change it. You will see what's going to happen. There's somebody coming. So it's to be sincere, I used to feel like I'm a sacrifice. And God, you're just using me as a test run for whatever is going to happen to anybody. I felt that way. But again, God still used that my experience to help somebody so much that the person, was able to finish school. So now, for me, like I said, purpose is a journey. The most important thing for you is to know that you are on a mission. You are, there is a purpose of God for your life. There is a reason why you are here. You might not discover it as an adolescent. You might not even figure it out fully in your 20s. For example, for me, I knew that everything that's going to be about my life is going to be connected to girls and young women. I know that I'm not assigned to widows. I know I'm not assigned to maybe even married people. I know those things. I feel for them. I have for people. I'm not. I know that that's not where I'm supposed to be, right? So I know that is this young girl, because I know what I faced as a young girl. I know how God helped me. So those are my people. So I knew that everything I am going to be doing is going to be, girls, young women, and all of that. So everything, the day I knew, and I'll say this, there's a definitive day that I actually knew. So I was in prayer city then, and I was in university. Somebody, one of my mentors then, he asked me, he said, Ronke, who are you? And I was like, who am I? I'm Aderonke now, and all of that. And he said, no, you're not. She said, who are you? You know, say, yeah, go and pray and ask God, who am I? And I prayed that. I was very curious. I prayed, and God gave me a scripture, that this is the scripture that will anchor your life. And he started talking to me, in fact, my relationship with God just skyrocketed. He started talking to me and praying that LOV Foundation, I received it in chapel, University of Lagos, 200 level in the chapel. I did not do LOV work till maybe 4 or 5 years later. But I received it while praying. The name, the mission, everything, I received it while praying. But because I was afraid and I didn't know, I've never seen anybody do anything like that. So I just kept it in my diary, So, but God definitively told me these are the people you have been sent to. So these are the people you have been sent to. So the full details of how it's going to be, okay, how I'm going to be, I didn't know. But I had a sense of I have been sent to these people. These are the people God has sent me to. This is how, these are the lives that God has told me to rescue. This is my mandate. So I was working with it. As I began to grow through experience, through every experience I was having in academic life, everything began to make sense. God began to carve the niche. I began to even have a better understanding of how to do it, right? So even as you journey in life, it becomes clearer. It becomes clearer. Some things you will experience, some negative things you experience, God will help you to be able to channel it back into what He has called you to be. And again, I think there's the need for me to um, distinguish between your assignments and your calling. Now, my own calling is towards young women and girls, right? But my assignment over time may be changing. It might be changing, right? My assignment might be changing. I'm not going to be 30 something forever. I'll still become 40, 50. My assignment will still change, but the calling remains the same. So I think that's what confuses a lot of people. Maybe when God gives them a new instruction to do, they'll be like, is it changing? No, the purpose does not change, the calling does not change. It's the assignment. The assignment keeps changing as you begin to evolve in your experiences in life and in your exposure. So exposure in terms of academic exposure, in terms of mental exposure. There's some things God will not tell you to do because you've not grown mentally. Your mindset has not changed. You've not added to yourself. Your personal development. You've not added more knowledge. God will not tell you to do it because you will mess it up, right? So your assignment keep changing. God might tell you to start. You might give you an assignment, so you have be mentoring the girls in your compound. That's an assignment. When you get to university, God might say, okay, start a girls fellowship, prayer fellowship. It's an assignment. Everything is just towards your calling and your purpose, right? So yeah, I think let me stop there.
Um, I'm just thinking, okay, it's not every child that goes through the difficult situation that you went through as a child.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, they have purpose. So
Yeah,
they might not be from a home which is
yeah,
they their parents might be affluent, they might not have had any challenges, but they still have purpose.
yes,
So such a child, how is a girl born into a family like that where everything seems to be going along fine, just let me just say usual every day, because there's no one, no family, no matter how wealthy, no matter how well situated, no matter how loving, how happy, how everything, there's no family or home or person that will not go through a challenge at some point or the other. But let's just say they're all just typical everyday challenges. So a child like that, how would she discover purpose? If she hasn't got a situation where she had to speak to God and God told her, listen, everything you're going through now, I'm allowing you to go through it because it's going to be, you're going to need this experience to help others in future. So how will someone who doesn't have these experiences, how will she discover her purpose?
okay. I think people used to ask me this question a lot because I know most of the time when I'm talking based on my own experience. But the truth of the matter is this: that whether a child, for a child that comes from maybe an affluent family, a lot of those things, there is always a breaking point. There is always a breaking point. For example, Jacob in the Bible, Jacob in the Bible, or even Joseph, they, for example, let's say Jacob, he came from an affluent family, and everything was going on well for him. But a breaking point happened, and God encountered him when he was tired of the kind of life he was living. There is there is something called comfort in Zion, where everything is going on well for you. Look as if you don't have problem. But God knows how to always step in, and for those kind of children, for you to understand your purpose in life, you need to ask God. You need to ask God, right? That God, because sometimes we don't even we can't even step into, sometimes we don't even understand how the experiences we are having in life connects to an overall purpose for our life. Because purpose is a consciously lived experience. It's something that you consciously live out, you know. So if you are just living aimlessly, you don't, you are not having any introspection at any point in time, it's because you don't have that sense of purpose, right? So for those kind of persons, if you're for those kind of children, you need to ask God, God, what is my purpose in this family? What is my purpose on earth? Now, for example, my husband, all these things that I'm saying I experienced. My husband has zero ideas of anything like that. He grew up like in a near perfect home. So, but today he's also talking about purpose, and I'm sure he's going to, maybe have a time to discuss about it. So, but what me I say is that you need to first of all ask God about, God, why did you create me? God, why have you brought me here? God, what is my place in this family? God, what is my place in this nation, in this community? God might let you experience so much love and compassion in your family so that you will know how to love those that are devoid of love. That might be, right? God might make you to experience so much wealth, affluence, so that you will know how to, so that it can give you compassion to be able to help the poor and the needy in your society. So it doesn't have to be like you have to have bad experience. No, the good experience you're even having is God is preparing you to be able to give so much also to others that lack it. I mean, I
You,
love what some rich parents do for their kids. They take them to orphanage homes, take them to, maybe slums or something like that, so that they can see, what other children that are less privileged are having. And you see that some of all these children, they make it, compassion grow from within them, and they now make it like an habit to always set aside for charity. you know, from there on, they start understanding that my life is just more than me eating and drinking. There is something more about my life.
what role, or to what extent do our passions, our talents, what role do they play in purpose? Are they an important part of
Yeah.
purpose? I mean, you find out you're good at doing something, you're passionate about it, you might enjoy playing music, you might enjoy drawing or things like that. Does
Mm.
talent have any um correlation, any intertwining connection
Yeah,
to
it does.
purpose?
It does. It does. There's this tool we use to help people to um kind of discover purpose now, or be on the path of purpose. We call it shape. So SHAPE. These are things that, for example, someone that it's anybody, anyways, anybody. But you can, through this acronym, through this tool, you can actually kind of have a direction to your purpose in life. So S is for your spirituality. Um, H is for art. A is for ability. P is for your personality. E is for your experience. Then we also have an extra E for your exposure. So
Okay.
shape E. Yeah. So the first one, your spirituality, it talks about your spiritual gifts. So what are
Okay.
the spiritual gifts that you have? You see some people, they are not even so much into God, though, but they have some spiritual gifts. Like they can, for example, they can dream. They have the gift of dreams. Now, when they just dream, it happens. Some they have the gift of word of wisdom. You know, so spiritual gifts are actually pointers to what your calling, your purpose might actually be. Then we have the age for art. What is your heartbeat? What does your heart beat for? Like I mentioned earlier, that for me, my heart beat for young girls that are in a disadvantaged position, young girls that have been abandoned, that have been hurt, that are going through emotional challenges, that deprived. Those are the people that my heart beat for. Young women, single girls, those are the people that my heart beat for. Now, um if I see a widow, that is that is disadvantaged, I might pity her, but I'm not moved to really help her. I might pity and be like, oh yeah, but I'm not moved because it's not my heartbeat. For some people, it's children. They can't, as in they can't stand a child to be hurt with a fly. For some people, it's the aged. You just feel so much compassion in your heart for the aged. Be like, how I wish I had money. In fact, I used to say, because I teach this class a lot in my church, I used to say to people, I'll say, ask yourself this question. How will you know your heartbeat? Ask yourself this question. If I have all the money in the world, what am I going to do with it? If I have all the money in the world, if everything is okay for me, like I have access to anything in the world, I can do anything in the world, what will I be doing? What will be my profession? What will I be doing? You will hear people say so many things like, oh, I will just, be taking care of children. I will just be good doing medical outreaches. I will just, a lot of people, it makes people think deep because also, lack of money, economic situation has killed the heartbeat of a lot of people because they want to make money. But when you ask them this question, if you're able to answer that question for yourself, you will find your true passion. Now, the next one is your abilities. What are the natural talents you have, or even the learned? Your natural talent or the learned one. You can draw, you can speak, you are like an orator. When you speak, people are like, what? Did you just say that? Or you can write and you write and people are moved and be like, wow, so different abilities. It can be learned. It's not compulsory that it is something that just came from your, like you just woke up and you had it. It can be learned. It can be a learned ability, but you find it, you do it with ease. What everybody does and they are like complaining, you can do it and do it with ease. You know what I mean? So these are your abilities. They can point to your purpose in life. So
And
the next one is P, which is your personality. We have different personality types. You might be a person that is sanguine. You love people. You love talking with people. You love making people happy. You are a cheerful person. You are a very outgoing person. Or you might be the type that you are introverted. You just want to stay on your own. You might be a very strong leader. You have a strong choleric personality. Whatever it is for a purpose. There is pointing at when you marry these things together, it shows you the kind of calling that you have, you know. So the E, which is your experience, like for me, my own experience really, really pointed me to my own calling. My experience really did that. So your experience, whether good or bad, whether it is good or bad, is going to give you direction to the purpose of God for your life. For example, I know somebody that she lost her husband very early as a young person, And she now started, when her husband died, she now started this I don't know how she was treated by her husband's family. I think she was 30 or maybe 20 something when her husband died. I don't know how she was treated by her husband's family or people, but that experience made her start a foundation for young widows. And today, I mean, in fact, today she has impacted the life of hundreds of young widows because of her experience. That was not what she was doing before, but her experience informed that calling for her. And today, a lot of widows have come out of depression, come out of isolation. She has rebranded their lives, and make them look forward to a fruitful life again because of our own experience. Some rape victims have gone ahead to start foundations to help other rape victims, and even to prevent rape and also help get justice. So whether it is negative or positive, your experience has a way of helping you to um, find purpose. For example, let me say a positive one for somebody that will be like, okay, maybe I'm only sharing the bad side. The positive one, I know of one of my mentors. She actually, yeah, her father, encourage their education. She's a northerner. I know in the north, the majority don't really value female education. But her father used to tell her, "You're going to be great." He made sure he put her in school and everything. That fueled her passion. Even though her father died later, and they went to impose on her, the normal child marriage. She fought against it as a child, ran away from her state and ran down to Lagos with grit, resilience, and determination. She made sure she went back to school. Why? Because of what her father, that great experience she had with her father concerning education. And today, she has written up to like over 15 books helping children to learn education. She's a renowned education specialist in Nigeria. Why? Because of the good experience, she had growing up as a child. The next one is your exposure. Who, where you grow up, the people you meet, the kind of events that you are exposed to in the course of your life also shapes, the purpose of God for your life. So when you marry all these things together, your spiritual abilities, your heartbeat, your abilities, your talents, your personality, your experience, and your exposure, by the time you put everything together, you can actually, understand by the help of the Holy Spirit what is God's purpose for your life.
Beautiful and very powerful. I mean, it's just making me think of that scripture. I think it's in Romans 8, about all things work together for good
Exactly.
according to how you're called, God's purpose. And again, it makes me think of the awesomeness of God. And I pray that every teenager, every youth, every young adult, and indeed every adult, because using myself as an example, I think I said to you yesterday that I'm continuing to, like you have said, purpose is a journey. And I'm continuing, even now as a grandmother, I'm continuing to find new purpose come out of original purpose. So, our purposes, we have a purpose, but then it gets little branches and networks to other things, like spreads its tentacles to touch others, and it continues to evolve, continues to grow throughout life. So I hope that everyone who has listened or is listening will realize how special they are to God, who they are, because that question I think that you were asked triggered you to go into prayer, like, who am I? It's a very important question for us to discover who we are. And when we learn who we are, then we can now begin to understand why we were created, because we were created for a purpose. We didn't just happen no matter what. It's been a really, really, really interesting conversation. You've shared so much, and I thank you. You said you shared something you haven't shared publicly. Probably you've shared
Yes.
testimonies, but I really, really appreciate that. And just the same way God has had a purpose for everything else in your life, He must have had a purpose for that one girl, or two girls, or three girls who are listening, or maybe even a young man who is listening and has a challenge in that area, so that it can give whoever it is hope and faith and the knowledge that they will come out of it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few short, a few. I don't know if they're questions or statements, but if you could just give me, like short, sharp responses to them, just to kind of summarize on a lot of what you have said. I have a feeling that we are still going to come back to discuss this topic at some time. Honestly, it's a wide topic. There's a lot, and because of your experience, I think that there's so much more that we can actually share.
Yes.
What values do you have? Do you hold dear the most? We can look at patience, honesty, your accomplishments, your core beliefs, family. What do you think is the most important to you? The value that you hold so dear? Could we call it a principle?
Okay, for me, um,
For
my
discovering,
core
that
values.
helps in the road to discovering purpose.
Okay, okay. I think for me, I would say my core value is spirituality, because I just know it deep down within me that without God, I am nothing. And so, and nothing, no matter how great it is, can actually separate me from the love of God, or from putting God aside. So God is my core. If you peel me, and you're looking for my central core, my central nervous system, then that must be God. He's my
Mm,
heritage, and that's it. So, and I think from that stems perseverance, grit, doggedness. I no go gree. This 2024, they say we should not gree for anybody. That I no go gree. That has been my motto. I won't have let the devil have the last laugh. That's
amen.
just it for me. So
Amen.
God is this
Amen.
is the CNS for me. Every other thing, I just think I just try as much as possible to embody the character of God, especially when I know this is the will of God. So I just let that character of God spring out from me. So every other value that is attached to God, that's my value. Integrity, that's my value. Yeah.
Um, this one, how important is discovering purpose to success in life? Can a person be said to be successful if they haven't discovered purpose? For instance,
Uh,
perhaps a person can get in on a really good profession, they work, they become extremely wealthy, and they're a blessing to, but they haven't actually identified and said, "This is my purpose." Could they be still said, could they still be said to be successful?
there is no success outside purpose. There can be accolades, there can be clappings, there can be chariots, but when you have not fulfilled your core mandate in life, it's just like somebody that is supposed to be headed to Abuja and is in a vehicle and they are taking him to Kutonu. The vehicle is moving, you are moving, they are clapping for you that you are moving, but you are not going to your destination. And until you stop on your tracks and get back the direction to your destination, no matter how fast your vehicle is, no matter how swift that journey is, you are still going nowhere. And indeed, a life without purpose is a useless life. And it's a waste of heaven's resources. That is
Ooh.
the truth. And that is, you see a lot of successful people these days commit suicide. A lot of billionaires commit suicide. Why are they committing suicide? After all, they have all the money, they can afford anything. There is a missing link, because your purpose is what connects you to God, and that's where you find fulfillment. A lot of people have access to everything in life, but there is something missing. They can't figure it out. What is missing is that they are not fulfilled. And you know why? That they won't find fulfillment because it's something God has put in the soul of a man. They won't find fulfillment whether they do drugs, whether they do whatever it is. They won't find fulfillment until they find that purpose. And that's why you see some people, they will leave. White people now, white people, they will leave the whole America or whatever it is. They will come to a village in Nigeria here to come and live with people that you consider as nobody, and they will come and be training them, teaching them, and they are okay. They are fulfilled. See, there's nothing you want to give them again. They are okay, because that thing in the soul has been quenched. So no matter whatever you accomplish in life, if you have not found a purpose, that's why you find frustrated doctors, frustrated lawyers, frustrated billionaires, because they've attained everything. They've gotten to the apex of whatever they are doing, yet no fulfillment. It's fulfilling your purpose in life that gives you fulfillment and makes you be at rest, even with your maker. So that's it.
Great. What has been the greatest temptation that you've faced and overcome?
I think for me, the greatest temptation I've faced is to forfeit the great for the good. Um, you know, as we journey in our walk with God, we have we have we have understanding of His will for our life, and sometimes the will of God is not palatable. Let's be frank. The will of God sometimes is not palatable. It's not suiting our flesh. So for me, the challenges I've faced, or the most temptation I've faced, is to live the will of God, which may look like is not agreeing with what I want, satisfying me, to actually for, follow my own will. So it's to fulfill fulfill the great for the good. Basically, that's it. But God has been helping me, because I always go back to God, and He always assures me of His promise, of His word. So, and that's enough for me.
Have you ever been betrayed?
I don't think I leave a chance for that. I guard myself so much. I guard my heart so much, and I live, because if you grow up from the kind of place I've been betrayed already. I've been betrayed already. So I growing up like that made me have a stony heart towards, like, I don't even give away emotions easily. I hardly cry. Anything that make me cry, that thing must be very serious. So I hardly cry. I cry only in worship. Worship, I'll cry. But normal issues of life, even death, I don't cry, because I don't I look beyond that situation, right? So for me, betrayal is as a result of trust. I put everybody at a particular place, and I give allowance for human fault. So what people do that may hurt me, I discard it easily, because I just feel we are all humans. The person is not your God. So why are you disappointed? And
A
that's it for
very
me.
Actually, it's a very good response. Very, very interesting. Very interesting way of looking at things, and I think a very powerful way as well. Have you ever been disappointed in yourself?
Yes, I've been disappointed in myself severally, because I don't, I don't, I don't give myself uh, a pat on the back. And I think it is something that I, even to yesterday, I still thought about it. If I wanted to make a post about it, because I wanted to make it like a commitment to myself for this year, I don't see myself as I'm doing great. I don't give myself that, oh, Ronke, you've done well. You know, I don't know, I'm looking for the word now. I berate myself a lot. I berate myself a lot. I don't, and I think it's false humility, or maybe I'm just still, um, I'm maybe I'm battling with another level of self-esteem issues. Maybe self-esteem issues is level by level. So I think maybe that's it. So and for me it is it's a disappointment because I don't ask for what is um I don't get to ask for what should be given to me, because maybe in my heart I just feel like, "Hmm, you are not qualified, you don't deserve it." So I sabotage myself a lot. And so when the self sabotage is over, and probably the opportunity that I just disqualified myself from without applying for, I see somebody that is not even up to me in any way get it, I be like, ah, we should have just tried. Now, why did you do this to yourself? So, but I've told myself this year, I don't go green. I will apply for it. The highest thing they'll tell me is that no, you're not qualified. But this year, I know go green. So I'm making that commitment to myself. But in time past, I have so much disappointed myself or at all those levels. Self-sabotaging myself every step of the way. When I know I actually I deserve it. So I'm learning to tell myself, okay, you deserve the good things of life. Okay, you deserve to be on that table. Okay, you deserve to be there. You have what it takes. So yeah, I think that's
I think that I would like to end this session on this note. Aderonke, before I was, I'll say, privileged to actually make one-on-one contact with you, and we sat down and started sharing on a number of issues. You were someone that I looked at from afar because your fame, the work you were doing, had gone before you. Obviously, I was already counseling youths and speaking with the sisters and all that. And I was always hearing this name, Aderonke. I think it's Akinshelure.
Akinyelure.
Akinyelure. Sorry. And I would hear this name and it would be hosting this program, doing this. I would see on Facebook and things like that. And I thought, wow, this young girl. And then I would see you pip, 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 step in, always nicely dressed, beautifully groomed, and everything. And you were someone that I thought, wow, this is a wonderful young woman. I was so proud of you, even though I didn't know you. I admired you. And now to hear that you don't even give yourself a pat on the back, my dear, I am here giving you that pat on the back.
Thank you,
For
as you
all
always do.
you do.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all you do, Adirunke. I
Thank
am
you.
so proud of you. I see all the great efforts. I've been, I think, involved in one or two of the programs that you've done. I've seen all the effort that goes on behind the scenes, and not just the effort that goes on, but I've seen the feedback that comes in. I've seen the results. I've heard the testimonies. I've been witness to them. Sweetheart, you deserve all the pats on the back. Thank you so much for taking this time out to share with me.
Thank
I
you, ma,
know
for the
you're going to be
opportunity.
back again sometime. And I
Yeah,
say to you, God
thank
bless.
you.
I love
Amen.
you.
Thank you so much,
Take
ma. I really appreciate you. Thank you, ma. All right,
care.
ma.
And on this note, we bring the program to an end. Thank you, young friends, for staying this time with us on Grandma's Corner. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye bye.